Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. This is Rock and Roll Spock coming at you with the second week of the weekly TV roundup for this year's TV season. This week it's just Gotham, Scorpion, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Sleepy Hollow. We're going to kick things off with the Gotham recap. The episode starts with Bruce Wayne standing in Wayne Manor, holding his hand over a candle and getting it closer and closer as a means of controlling pain tolerance. It really does kind of hit on early things he might have done to on his road to becoming Batman. We move on to the city, where we see that someone is kidnapping homeless kids, drugging and kidnapping. A couple, in fact, played by Lily Taylor and Frank Whaley. And Frank Whaley was exceptionally creepy with his normal affable demeanor and playing a bad guy. Well done. Next up, we join Penguin, who is hitchhiking outside of Gotham and is picked up by a couple of guys. They start talking, and he reveals, hey, things are going pretty well. And one of them brings up the fact that when he walks, he looks like a penguin, and he smashes a beer bottle and kills the one with it. There was one homeless kid that got away from the couple that were kidnapping homeless kids, and they also killed a homeless war veteran. The one that got away was picked up by the police, and toxicology report came back, and Enigma revealed there was a sedative in it that was used especially at the old Arkham Asylum, making for the first mention in the series, and the first few mentions in the episode of Arkham. Fish, played by Jenna Pinkett Smith, and Falcone discuss Maroni, and then Falcone has Fish's lover beaten in front of her. Montoya and Allen from Major Crimes talk to Penguin's mother, played by Carol Kane, who did an excellent job about his disappearance. We cut back to Fish, who vows to, kill Falcone for everything, I presume, that he's done to her over the years. Then Penguin starts renting a trailer from a guy outside of Gotham, as he was told by Gordon not to return. Excuse me. It's revealed that the homeless kids are being sold to the doll maker, which actually makes for a potential link to Arrow, as the doll maker was featured in an episode in season 2 and was in Arrow's continuity captured years beforehand by Detective Lance. So whether or not this pans out is anyone's guess, but anyways, Gordon rescues the most recent batch of kids kidnapped. Also his girlfriend makes an anonymous tip to the Gotham Gazette, and they find out to let them know that homeless kids are being kidnapped on the streets, and the cops are trying to keep it quiet. But, like I said, Gordon rescues the most recent batch of kids kidnapped while raiding one of the possible suppliers of the sedative. It's also mentioned during this portion that the Wayne Foundation was actually planning to reopen Arkham Asylum, but now that's up in the air and anyone's guess. Selina gets kidnapped by the Dollmaker's people when they're getting all the homeless kids off the street and sending the majority of them upstate to a facility. An entire busload, which includes Selina, is captured by the Dollmaker's people. While this is going on, Gordon visits with Alfred and Bruce, and they talk. And in fact, afterwards, Gordon visits Alfred and Bruce, and Gordon, in fact, saves Selina and the kids. Bruce offers to get the kids who were kidnapped new clothing, as they all looked fairly ragged, as he observed. Then Selina offers her version of the Wayne murders, that she did witness them in the pilot, to Gordon. And that's where the episode ends, with her saying that she saw the killer plain as day. Like I said, the show is definitely finding its footing very quickly. They're doing an excellent job, and I'm actually very much looking forward to coming episodes, just in general, just to see what happens next. All right, moving on to Scorpion. The episode begins with a flashback with young Walter shown being a tad snarky in math class. Then it comes. This has been brought on by him reading a letter about the condition of his sister, who it turns out has multiple sclerosis. The team is called in, though, when the daughter of the California governor is dying of an unknown and, as we find out later, targeted virus. And the team is actually brought in about her laptop, which has a virus which is somehow connected. It was basically kind of a means of getting in. The team then breaks into a pharmaceutical company for info to find the culprit behind infecting the governor's daughter, as well as 3 other children. They, of course, do so, go through the files, and a suspect is picked out of them as who lost the most to the drug trials that were canceled. The suspect is tracked down to the team goes to his office, goes through it, and discovers that there is a 5th target, the governor himself, and in fact we find out that the governor has left, quite possibly to meet with this person. The team manages to save the governor. The suspect is, of course, apprehended. Gallo gets a little bit of development talking to the would-be killer after they've apprehended him. We find out that he lost a child as well. And during the wrap-up of the episode, Walter uses his first paycheck to visit with his sister. Now, the show is so far being 2 for 2 on Crisis of the Week. At least it was a smaller crisis, not as opposed to 89 planes could fall out of the sky kind of crisis. There was some added characterization with pretty much everybody, especially concerning the wrap-up of the episode. It was kind of nice, but still, they all just, yeah. This is a show that actually really does need to find its footing, or it's going to end up not lasting a whole season. And more than likely, no one's going to care. Alright, moving on. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This week's episode picks up where the last one left off, and it is confirmed that Harley and Idaho from her team are definitely dead, while Hunter, the British member of the team, gets captured, and while May goes after Creel to find out who he's working for. May continues to track Creel for a good chunk of the episode. Hunter is turned over to General Talbot for questioning about S.H.I.E.L.D.'s current location. Sky, Trip, Mac, and Fitz, Mac being a newly added character who will probably be working with Fitz quite a bit in Simmons' absence, work on retrofitting the Quinjet's cloaking for the bus. While waiting at the drop point for his contact, Creel accidentally kills a waitress, as it turns out he has absorbed the obelisk's properties. Hunter returns to the base after shaking Talbot's tail on him, and makes a deal with Coulson as well. Raina from season 1 returns and speaks to both Creel and Coulson in the hopes of keeping the obelisk away from Hydra. Of course, she has her own goals for it, but mainly she wants to keep it away from Hydra. Um, when the actual meetup takes place for Creel and to drop off the obelisk, Reyna steals the obelisk after Hunter, in fact, knocks out the rest of the team and causes a massive distraction, leading to a rather amusing shot of Hunter firing a sniper rifle at fairly close range at Creel, and the bullet basically bouncing off of the side of his head right here. Coulson, using an old item recreated by Fitz and Mac, seemingly kills Creel, but again, seemingly, as Coulson will put it later on, he turns into stone, but he can already do that. Coulson then asks Hunter to sell him out to Talbot, and then after his chat with Talbot, which he turns over, and then also later on he carves the symbols that him and Garrett saw, and which also turns out to show up on the obelisk. Reyna hands over the obelisk to a character played by Kyle MacLachlan, and it turns out that she is immune to the effects of the obelisk, which makes for an interesting twist on things. Coulson, as I said, turns Creel over to Talbot in a cryostasis unit and basically tells him, we'll keep giving you presents like this, you keep getting promoted, you give us some breathing room. Of course, first Talbot's ready to just run him in, but turns out they've managed to retrofit the Quinjet's cloaking system for the bus, so they now have both a cloaked Quinjet and the bus with weapons trained on Talbot and his men. The season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started off pretty well. It was nice to see Reyna back, or as she was referred to for most of season 1, Flowers. Kyle MacLachlan's character, it's been said who he plays and who he will be playing, but I'm actually going to keep quiet on that until they actually reveal it. Looking forward to seeing that reveal, though, that's for damn sure. Alright, and finally, Sleepy Hollow. Ichabod has a nightmare involving a binding ritual between Katrina and the Horseman. Abby meets the new sheriff, who it turns out met her and her sister as children. Ichabod and Abby follow a lead on finding the Horseman and Katrina. Then Ichabod, Abby, and they manage to find the location. And then afterwards, Ichabod, Abby, and Jenny read up on ways to potentially stop this ritual and stumble upon something called the Kindred, which is a creature that one is supposed to be a match for the Horseman, and also is fairly similar to Frankenstein's monster, and would in this case predate the Frankenstein's monster by a good few decades. Henry and Moloch plot Moloch's dominion of the earth and whatnot while in purgatory, or at least Moloch's in purgatory and Henry is kind of sort of halfway there. Abby retrieves the Horseman's skull with some assistance as the location from former Sheriff Irving, who after the end of season 1 is in prison for killing some federal agents that were actually killed by his demonically possessed daughter. Jenny gets arrested by the new sheriff for possession of firearms by a felon. And then Irving decides she's going to tell the truth about what he's in prison for, prompting his successor to have him sent to a psych ward for evaluation. Ichabod and Abby search for the Kindred under the archives and, of course, find it. Ichabod raises the Kindred, and the Horseman of course, leaves to meet them, only to face the Kindred. This, of course, being after Katrina has told the Horseman that the only reason his persistence was what spurred her to marry Ichabod, because Ichabod gave her time and was patient with her, whereas Whereas Abraham, would become the Horseman, was trying to rush her into things. Um, but anyways, the Horseman begins facing out the Kindred. War ends up joining in as well, and the Horseman, or the Kindred's fate is unknown as of the end of the episode. Ichabod tries to rescue Katrina, who convinces him to leave her there so she can gather info for them, and in fact informs him of what she told Abraham, or rather the Horseman. Basically, letting us all know that she was just playing Abraham. Then Henry goes to the psych ward, masquerading as Irving's lawyer, gets him freed, and tricks him into making a Faustian pact. Basically, by using an old pen that had a little shard on the side that caused Irving, when he picked it up, to prick his finger and bleed on the tip, therefore bleeding into ink, and in a way, signing in blood. The details, of course, of the pact of the deal are unknown. Only that Henry says it's a standard deal. It's standard. But of course, as Henry is masquerading as a lawyer, it can be anything. Well, it could. At least Irving could think it's anything. Again, season 2 is picking up nicely with on Sleepy Hollow, and it should be interesting to see. It honestly, it should be interesting to see more about the Kindred itself, because that's definitely an interesting concept, a bit creepy. Anyway, that's all I got for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Social media links are in the description below. And as always, live long, rock hard.